Welcome, one and all, to another edition of the Defo Show with Lubie here on the 5 Reasons Sports Network, brought to you by Water Cleanup of Florida. The days are humid, the days are hot, and we don't have our usual rain, but the rain is still there. Not the greatest thing for home or offices, but no worries. Water Cleanup of Florida will make sure your home office is in great condition, whether it's water or fire issues. Simple. Just call them. 954-579-0356, 24 hours a day, 7 days a week, 365 days a year. Water Cleanup of Florida. They were there for my wife and I, and they will be there for you. 954-579-0356. Michael, George, Robert, their entire team. At this point, vastly over 60 years of combined experience. And it's something they take very seriously. Plus, with their licensed, certified, insured contractors, they will not only get the job done, which they did for me, again, they'll do it for you, but they'll make it look brand new. 954-579-0356 for Water Cleanup of Florida. Check them out on their website, WCUFL.com, at Water Cleanup FL on the socials. If you have a schmutz, home or office, water or fire issues, believe me, they have the guts. The American men's team let it get a little hairy in the semis and the gold medal game, but they did find their way past Serbia. They did find their way past France to get that gold medal, and Bam Adebayo was a big part of that. We talked about that. We talked about the Miami Dolphins, as this is a make-or-break year for Mike McDaniel, Tua Tagovailoa, and also threw a little bit of Marlins and whatever NBA offseason in there. We always do that when we talk to this man, Mr. 5 Reasons Sports himself, Ethan Scoop Skolnick, the Devo Show with Lubie on the 5 Reasons Sports Network.
Let's get into something that actually has some relevance to the sporting world, and that's why we bring on a guy that really, is synonymous with credibility, and that would be Ethan Scoop Skolnick, 5 Reasons Sports Network. Scoop, how are you, my friend?
Synonymous with credibility, man.
Yes.
I think you should workshop that one. I'm not.
No, I figure if you're at the event, Scoop, we're going to get an honest count on this thing. And with a good opinion that whether 100% agreement or not is always a well thought out position. I find that every time that we talk to you, you're in that category. So it's always great. That being said,
yes,
and you are the big kahuna there at 5 Reasons, and we respect the fact that you go and cover all of the big events. Where are you at this Dolphins preseason game, and did you have to sit through it in its entirety?
I was actually, and yes, I did.
Oh, Jesus!
So I apologize for that myself.
Why are we knocking it? I mean, what did you think, man? I mean, do we need Ryan Tannehill? What's the story?
Oh God, that's actually what we did on the YouTube channel yesterday. I felt insanely guilty about doing that too. I mean, we did that for 7 years, and now we're doing
the opposite.
Lubie hated this guy forever.
I mean, it's
Scoop
like
knows,
that was like a dog year we did that for. Now we're back at it. Honestly, it's after watching that, it's not the worst idea. I don't know. I mean, look, here's my thing on, and I said this on our stream yesterday with our friend Alex Dono. They're all in this year. Like they like they have to. I mean, they signed to the contract extension. They still haven't won this damn division since 2008 or would they win in 16? I guess
Pennington, whatever the Pennington year was.
God.
Oh wait, they have to win the division this year. They have to win a playoff game this year. Like this is, I mean, there can't be any excuses at this point. I mean, they even got Phillips back yesterday. Like they've added significant pieces. They've given Hill the extension. And so you don't want your season to be sunk by one of two things, okay? Because these are two positions where it's like you don't really think about them until they sink the season. One is kicker, which I still have concerns there.
Yeah, Sanders. Yep.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know. It's like it's almost the worst thing that he kind of redeemed himself at the end of last year because now it's like you go into another year of like, oh wait, is this going to be a year where he doesn't hit a 50-yard field goal the whole time? Or excuse me, and the other position is backup quarterback.
Yeah.
Because I look at another year they were all in. Okay, so go back to 2002, right? I remember.
Was that the last time?
well, no, the last time
we were young, Scoop. We had hair.
We were, and they won the playoff game in 2000, but in 2002, if you recall, they traded for Ricky.
Yeah, that was Ricky.
He had 1,853 yards. Jason had 18.5 sacks. we were in Denver, and they went to 5-1. They were named. They were sort of considered to be the best team in the AFC. They won. They beat a good Denver team on the road, 24-22. Late Mare field goal, and then we go downstairs, and and to the locker room, and Chambers is getting checked out for a concussion, and Gadsden hurt his thumb, and Jay got hurt, and that sunk the whole thing. Like they, then Ray Lucas came in and had committed 6 turnovers in a home game in Buffalo.
Wow.
I hate to bring back all these memories, but it's
the fact that you can recall some of this horror.
We've had a witness.
Well,
didn't recall horror like this
when it's in front of your face.
In about 2 years, I won't be able to recall anything. But yeah. So essentially, they lose 24-22, and then they win 24-22, but then they lose 3 key players, including the quarterback, and then they go 2-4 with Lucas. And it killed the season because then they got to 9-5. Jay came back, and then they lost. Chris Carter dropped the ball in the end zone, and then I was at all these games. And then in New England, they screwed the pooch the last 2-3 minutes and lost there. Anyway, the point is, you cannot have if Tua misses time. Okay, and you have to assume he's going to miss time because last year was the anomaly. I mean, he played every game. I don't care if it's Tua or who it is. Very few quarterbacks play every game 2 straight seasons. Okay, so you can't have like a 3 or 4 game spot where you lose all of them. Like you do, or you go 1-3, or you go 2-4, or whatever. I would honestly, Case Keenum, Tannehill. I'd look at somebody.
Yeah.
They got to have somebody because I don't think Thompson's an NFL quarterback. So make Mike White your third and go get somebody else.
Mike White didn't look like he was going to, make anybody forget about the days with Danny Boy. That's for sure.
No.
While he was in there. I mean, maybe you could attribute it to the slop that's inherent, as we were talking about, in any opening preseason game, especially now where, I mean, do you attend these practices, Scoop? Or I would imagine you would want to delegate that assignment to.
Well, yeah, no, that is the one thing I do delegate in my old age. I don't want to kvetch about the sweating. It's a little too hot out there for me to do that daily.
It sucks. Yeah.
I send Alfredo Arteaga from 3 yards per carry, and he loves it. Like literally,
these guys like it.
They would practice 24/7, like in Antarctica. Well, not that there would be cold, but. In the heart of Africa, he would be there.
Yes, I love that. I mean, the young guys, that's who it's for. This stuff. I mean, no doubt about it. I'm glad you're training these kids in journalistic principles and tenets. I mean, you go out there and now they don't do anything. I mean, they didn't do anything before.
Yeah.
We were talking about how there used to be 3-a-days. I was talking with with the Greek on his radio show yesterday, 3-a-days, and I remember covering those at St. Thomas with Shula.
Yep.
And now, what are they doing? I mean, you'll have guys crocheting out there on the field, and as soon as they break out the needle, the guy's on the phone with his agent going, "What the fuck? This is a violation of the CBA." I mean, and then I'm watching a lot of guys. It seemed like, I mean, maybe it was just you say this every time you watch a football game. Was there an inordinate number of injuries early in that game? I mean, is this new whole approach detrimental in your opinion?
Well, it's interesting you say that because we talk about this on the NBA side all the time. That team, the new philosophy. A lot of it is agent based. Some of it is this sports science. Some of it is. There's a lot of things that go into it, but essentially, yes, the players are babied compared to the way they used to be. And now, we talk about it in the NBA a lot, and, there are some, I can tell you in the Heat organization who think that, and they're not just talking about Spo because it's really a league-wide thing, but like the pulling back on practices, length of time, effort given, physicality, that's actually leading to more injuries because then the players go from 0 to 100 in the games, and they get hurt, and it's like this consistent thing. And I can't really tell if it's just a South Florida thing or everywhere else, but it does seem like the Heat and Dolphins are always missing players.
Yes,
right.
Yeah.
Like both of them. I mean, the Marlins, they're missing players because they've been shipped out to Seattle. But I mean, those two teams, like the players are actually still under contract, and they're there. I don't feel like, and Lubie, I know you follow it too. I don't feel like the Panthers had as much of that issue.
Not this year.
Not this year, right? Not this
No,
year.
that was their big thing. And again, it's something we talked to other people about is how do you get guys to not be injured all the time?
Right.
But that seems to be the case for both teams. Like the Heat, I feel like the last 3 or 4 years, I keep saying, well, if this guy wasn't hurt, but it's
Right.
you say for 4 friggin' years, and the Dolphins, it's the same thing. The offensive and defensive line by December, the last 3 years, they're hurt. I don't know what it is, but a lot of the time, a lot of old school people will tell you they don't practice as hard. Like as much as it was trying to save you from injuries, it's the opposite because what happens is the body's just not prepared for the contact,
Right.
and then it faces both sports. It faces the contact, and then like that's the thing. That's what I find so weird about the game management because the guys that are being game managed still get hurt most of the time.
Right. And well, exactly. Well, and this is my to switch to the baseball conversation. It's interesting. Every pitcher who's been babied in terms of pitch counts has ended up with Tommy John surgery.
Yes.
Yes. Yeah.
I mean, again, and there are a lot smarter people than me in these fields that seem to know why they're doing it this way in all these sports. But what's interesting on the Heat side is that, again, Spo's a Riley disciple, and Pat's right there, and yet, Pat has signed off on this essentially. I mean, the Heat don't practice very much anymore.
Really?
Like I used to sit outside, like we talk about being at St. Thomas. Okay, so I was never there, to cover Dolphin stuff, but I was at LaSalle to cover Heat practices back in the late '90s. Okay?
Yeah.
Basically, they would kick the 6-year-olds out of recess to go practice.
You had to kick somebody off the other end of the court, right? So you could run full.
We could sit outside, and there was this one day I always tell this story because I had a one-on-one set up with PJ Brown. We were supposed to go to lunch. Okay, so it was like there was like a 10 o'clock practice, and so they were supposed to be done by like 11:30 or 12. Okay, so at 11:30, we're looking. Tim Donovan, of course, was still there at that point. He's been there the whole time. And TD comes out and is like, it's going to be a little longer. Okay, so well, all right, we'll order a pizza. We ordered 3 pizzas. we were there until 5:30.
Wow.
Okay?
Wow.
And the reason for it was because they'd lost a national televised game to the Knicks. All right, so Pat wasn't having that shit. So and I found out later. Not only were we hearing the basketballs the whole time, which means that there was actual physical stuff going on, but at one point, Pat had Rex Walters go to, because they had like a TV that they would bring out to show the tape of the game. And he had Rex Walters out there showing Tim Hardaway what he did wrong.
Wow.
like he taxed them emotionally, physically, all these other ways. I remember PJ came out and was like, I will do this another day. I'm saying, yeah, well, lunch just became dinner and we had 3 pizzas. But the thing is, yeah, that's the way it was. And now the Heat organization, it's like, I think they had, some of it is to avoid the media, but I think they had one, because if they practice, technically they got to be available. But I think they had 1 practice the first half of the season.
Oh, Jesus.
It's just, and again, we convert it to the NFL. I mean, the NFL, they're playing, 7-on-7, no contact, no nothing,
Yeah.
don't hit anybody. And I do think at a certain point that Lubie's right. I think that then you go to a totally different physical type situation, and all these guys get hurt. I mean, I don't want to hear, I'm past the point where it's like, well, if they hadn't gotten hurt, they could have been this or they could have been that. If players on your team are consistently getting hurt, it's part of the organizational culture at that point, right? I mean, that's the way I view it.
Well, before we let you go, we did want to bring up something. You brought up the Heat. I know the last couple of games, he wasn't as effective with the Olympics, but I was very intrigued to see that Bam. And a lot of people were saying, so it's Spo. And was like, is it Spo? Like, Spo's great at helping all these guys get better. Why is he holding back Bam? Like, the guy we saw, and I get it, the first half of the seasons, we've seen a more aggressive Bam, and then the All-Star break comes, and he's tired, or whatever the excuses are. But even then, until the last 2 games, and again, everyone but Steph sucked the last 2 games. It wasn't just a Bam problem. Steph literally became Steph from 2014 to 2018, and everyone back to, high school, the way that they played. So it wasn't just Bam. The 4 games before that, Bam was as good, as consistent as anyone. And he was doing it on both ends of the floor. And I'm watching it going, so are we going to get this Bam finally? You're around them. You watch the Olympic Games. I saw you guys covering it and talking about it, and specifically Bam. What were we watching there, and why don't we see more of that when he's in black and red?
I actually think we will this year. I specifically because he just did that. I feel like
he made like 3 or 4 threes in a game. Like literally, LeBron was calling him a goddamn splash brother.
No, but the threes are one thing. Like the threes is a specific skill set that I think they have to build a little bit more into their offense. So I think the fact that Spo was there to see it and
was on the
open things up, I do think that he will get more of a green light this year. I do believe that's finally going to happen. There are other things that I want to see from Bam to me that are more important, but I do think that that's gonna happen. But I think the biggest thing that's going to come out of this is, I mean, literally, like LeBron, all of them, they embraced Bam as an equal.
Yes.
And I don't know that he's ever really felt that before, particularly from the best players of all time. Some of the best players of all time, Steph and LeBron and Durant. And I think that will translate. And I think that the biggest thing that's going to happen too is I think as a captain in this, he hated being captain last year. He kind of hinted it to me publicly, but I'd heard it privately. He just didn't and I knew he would because it's just not his personality to come down on guys. He's, but I feel like this year he'll grow into that more because he saw it. And also because, again, he's been validated by these guys. Some of this is on Spo to build more of the offense around him. And some of this I think is on personnel to help him. Look, can Rozier throw on the kind of lobs that Curry was throwing him? Others, I mean, they have to find more ways to feature him. And you made the big point here. The pre-All-Star break stuff the past couple of years has been good. It's this last year he averaged fewer shot attempts in every succeeding month. So his shot attempts went down from October to November to December to January to February to March to April. Every month they went down. That is because they asked him to do so much defensively, but also because he just kind of concedes.
Yep.
This year he can't concede. Like they don't have enough unless he grows significantly. That's my view because I just don't like they're counting on like contract year Jimmy to go nuclear, and I'm 50-50 on that. We may be having the same availability questions. I know Bam's going to play, okay, and so you're right. I think he has to play with more force, more of what we saw in the Olympics. But he belonged on that team, and so if he belonged on that team, he's ready to lead this team. And I think that we may see a little bit more of that this year.
All right, one quick final thought, if you don't mind, Scoop. I know you have stuff to do, but I couldn't help but try and at least get your opinion on this. Grew up, I love half-court basketball. If I was driving somewhere, I didn't even care if I was out of town. I saw a game, I wanted to be in it.
Right.
I'd stop the car and see if I can, hey, can I run with you guys? Love it. 3-on-3, 4-on-4. I contend that you could go to the outskirts of any major city in America. You could be in Compton, California. You could be somewhere on the streets of Harlem, Flatbush maybe, outside of Philadelphia, certainly, Chicago, and see a team that was holding the court in 3-on-3 basketball that would beat Jimmer Fredette, whatever version of the Barrys that was, and whoever these two other schmucks were that were on the team. I mean, what the hell was that, Scoop? How could we possibly lose at this game? It seems unfathomable to me that our 3-on-3 team was that bad.
We should have entered Jimmer in the breakdancing competition.
It would have been worse.
I mean, when he was chucking 50-footers for BYU in the tournament, that's great if it was that Jimmer Fredette. But, I mean, the guy's not the same. And, that was the best 3-on-3 team. I mean, you've probably played against better 3-on-3 teams in your basketball lifetime.
At the Cooper City JCC.
Yeah. I mean, the Posnack Jewish Center, man. Those boys could shoot.
Exactly right. Look, I don't really know what that was. I kind of feel like, first thing, I don't understand why they wouldn't just send like a representative from the Big Three, like from Ice Cube's league.
Yeah.
I mean, I throw Beasley. Who's been in that thing? Beasley.
Give me Carmelo. I mean, I don't know. Is Iverson still playing at 60? I'm not sure.
Myself, honestly, I got 3 cups.
If Doug Moe hadn't checked out, he'd be in the league.
For sure. Look, I don't really know what that was. I don't. The whole qualifying of that was kind of ridiculous. But yeah, it was embarrassing. I mean, I was trying to figure out, like, again, who we could have sent a bunch of guys who didn't make our Olympic team. I mean, that would have been.
I think there was some stipulation that you couldn't play
You couldn't have ever
couldn't
been
currently
connected
be
to
a pro or something.
Team
or
USA.
player.
No, you couldn't be connected to Team USA in any way. Like, you couldn't even
Yeah,
been on
some
a
kind of
junior
crap
team.
like that. Yeah.
Like, they made it really weird. So to make sure the USA didn't dominate. But even then, you still should be able to find guys.
Don't you go down to Rucker Park or something and just take 3 guys?
Well, the Rucker Park would be exactly where I would go. I mean, you could have taken 3 guys from those mixtapes. I mean, any of it. I really, Jimmer Fredette being on there is the most random thing I could possibly do.
It was crazy, right? You're looking, wait a minute, I know this guy.
Right, exactly. Right.
From 20 years ago.
And to go all the way to Paris to embarrass yourself, kind of sad.
Oh, my God.
Yeah, very, very depressing. But, yeah, I thought actually the Olympics, this was as good an Olympics as we've had.
It was very entertaining all the way around. No doubt
entertaining. And I actually thought that the TV, it was well done.
They did a good
job. Yes.
They did. I'm used to complaining about this stuff, but there was really everything was on when you expected it to be on. You could rewatch it. It was good. And I look. I think LA. Having it back in LA in 4 years, I'll be interested to see what kind of Team USA can put together for basketball at that point. Yeah. It'll be. It feels like we're in a little bit of a transition here. Yep. And it feels like the next guy actually plays for France. So
yeah, but we should never lose, Scoop. I mean, give me a break. those Serbians look like a bunch of white schleps that were showing up. They show up at the park. You don't even know if you let them run. Jokic notwithstanding.
Well, Jokic happier about winning that bronze than he's been about winning an NBA championship.
Honestly, that's true.
You know what? He's with his boys there, and if you've ever seen his brothers in the stands, you realize that they're a serious bunch, those Jokic's. Scoop, we love you, man. Thanks. Always, the epitome of credibility and sound reasoning. Thanks so much for being with us on the show.
Thanks, guys.
Thanks.
All right. Scoop Skolnick, ladies and gentlemen.
Yes, we got through a lot there. We tend to do that when we're with Edith Skolnick because, yes, he focuses on basketball and the Heat, and he's great on that. But he's also covered the Dolphins. He's covered the Marlins. He's covered the Panthers. He was at the Dolphins preseason game 1. Not sure what you take from that. But it's going to be interesting, and I've been very much against Ryan Tannehill as a starting quarterback. But at this point of his career, he's definitely a solid backup. I mean, look at Mike White and Skylar Thompson. Ryan Tannehill actually, and I didn't think I would say this, would fit perfectly behind Tua. He would not make Tua an afterthought. He would not challenge Tua. But if Tua did get hurt, he could actually start games, and they wouldn't just be throwing them away, which they can't afford to at all this season. This is an AFC East championship or bust, a playoff victory or 2 or bust for the Miami Dolphins. So we'll see an organization that has won lots of playoffs games and titles, plural, and been to multiple finals, the Miami Heat. Going to be an interesting year. Bam Adebayo, again, before the All-Star breaks, as I said, showed lots of promise. Was a definitive All-Star the last couple years. And then after the All-Star break sort of fell off. We saw in the Olympics outside the last 2 games, which, again, outside of Steph Curry, no one played well for Team USA. Bam Adebayo was one of the most consistent, one of their best players. And like Ethan just said, widely accepted, not only on the team, but as one of the most talented players and leaders of that team. You saw him pushing those guys in that Serbia game, try and get that victory. You saw him a big part, again, versus France for the gold medal. He wasn't great on the stat sheet, but he was engaged, was big defensively, and that was a big part throughout the entire Olympic tournament for the men's basketball team. I've always been curious why we can't see that. Ethan talked about it. Now that he's showing it, look, he himself didn't feel it. Now he's accepted by the best, not only of the world right now, some of the best ever. Kevin Durant, Steph Curry, LeBron James. So, and they were putting him right there at the forefront of this unit. And he embraced it. They embraced him. And Spo was there. Spo was the second assistant on that team, watching Bam accept that role. So and look, Ethan talked about it. The Heat will need that. And we've been waiting to see it. I hope we finally do an expanded offensive role for Bam Adebayo, the best overall end-to-end defender, position-to-position defender in the NBA. Has offensive skills. He just doesn't always demonstrate them. Looking for a little bit more aggressiveness, looking for Bam to take another step, along with some of the other Heat players. And we'll see what happens the rest of the offseason. It's not done. We're in the middle of the offseason as camps don't open up for like a month or so. And then you get your NBA preseason, October, whatnot. But we do have college football next week, NFL preseason underway. So we'll talk lots about that. Check us out each and every morning. The Defo Show with Lubie on South Florida Live, either the Facebook or YouTube channel. Check us out on our national podcast. Have a lot coming up. Fun, interesting conversations in and outside the world of sports. The Believe Network, BLEAV.com. Search After Hours. and right here at South Florida Skewed Content, the Defo Show with the Lubie on the 5 Reasons Sports Network.
Hey folks, Tony Segreto here. Let me ask you a question. What do you look for when you go out to eat? Good food, obviously, friendly atmosphere, not too loud, but good energy, reasonable prices, and a place where you feel comfortable. All those ingredients, no pun meant there, are hard to find unless you're talking about the Texas Roadhouse. You see, they encompass all of those attributes. Really, really good food, amazing atmosphere, good for a family, good for a date, or just a night out for yourself, and prices that will make you extremely happy. Their ribs, unmatched. Steaks, hand-cut every day. Everything, and I mean everything, is made on site, including their incredible bread. It's the one day, folks, that you can forget about low-carb diets. Trust me when I tell you, Texas Roadhouse, your restaurant, your destination when you say, where should we go and eat tonight?
These days, we're all looking for comfort anywhere we can find it. Thank goodness for Landlubbers Raw Bar and Grill in Plantation, because they are making sure you are as comfortable as possible. First of all, they're not only open for delivery and pickup. All you have to do is go to landlubbersbarandgrill.com for both pickup and free delivery. You're going to have the best wings in the world. You're going to have a great burger. You're going to have their amazing soups. Again, Landlubbers, Raw Bar and Grill. It's nice and easy. Just go to landlubbersbarandgrill.com for both your pickup and free delivery. Thank goodness for Landlubbers for making you always feel right at home.